For over 5 decades, the moon landing conspiracy has persisted, weaving its way through countless online forums, documentaries, and dinner table debates. It's like that one relative who still thinks Elvis is working at a gas station in Nebraska. But what if I told you that the evidence for the moon landings isn't just compelling, it's overwhelmingly, irrefutably real? Prepare to have your mind launched into orbit, because we're about to debunk the biggest space hoax myths, one by one. And if you find this journey as mind-blowing as we do, please hit that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds. Let's start with the most common, and often visually striking, claims. Conspiracy theorists often point to images of the American flag seemingly waving on the airless moon, arguing that this proves it was filmed in a studio with wind. Because, you know, space has such lovely breezes. But here's the reality: the flag isn't waving due to wind. NASA engineers were well aware there's no atmosphere on the moon. Their ingenious solution? A telescoping flagpole with a horizontal bar across the top. This bar was designed to extend and hold the flag outward, giving it the appearance of being unfurled. The ripples you see are simply permanent creases from where the flag was folded and stored for the journey to the moon. In the weak lunar gravity, these wrinkles remained. It's like trying to get the wrinkles out of a suit that's been in your suitcase for a month. Some things just stick. When the astronauts planted the flag, the act of jostling it could also cause some movement, which, due to the lack of air resistance, would persist for a much longer time than on Earth. If you look closely at sequential images, you'll see the creases don't change. Another popular argument is that if the moon landing was real, the photos would be teeming with stars, given the lack of atmospheric distortion. Yet, they appear completely black. It's almost as if the universe decided to turn off its lights for the photo op. This is a classic case of misunderstanding photography. The moon's surface during the Apollo missions was brilliantly lit by the sun. The astronauts' cameras, primarily Hasselblad 500 EL cameras with specialized lenses, were set to capture the brightly lit lunar landscape and the astronauts themselves. To do this, they used a fast shutter speed and a narrow aperture. Just like trying to photograph a friend in bright daylight with a dark sky behind them on Earth, faint objects like stars simply wouldn't register with these camera settings. The light from the stars was too dim compared to the intensely illuminated foreground. It's not a conspiracy, it's basic photographic exposure. Think of it this way: if you try to take a picture of a flashlight in a pitch-black room, do you also capture the dust motes floating in the air? Probably not. Same principle, just on a cosmic scale. A persistent concern is that astronauts couldn't have survived the journey through the Van Allen radiation belts, a region of energetic charged particles surrounding Earth, without lethal doses of radiation. Apparently, these belts are like a cosmic bouncer, saying, "No entry for humans." This was a genuine concern for NASA, and it was extensively studied and accounted for. The Apollo missions used a trajectory that minimized the time spent in the most intense parts of the belts. The spacecraft themselves had aluminum shielding designed to protect the crew. And here's the crucial part: the actual radiation exposure measured by dosimeters worn by the Apollo astronauts was well within safe limits, averaging about 0.46 rads for the entire trip. To put that in perspective, it's less than the annual radiation dose for some nuclear energy workers, and significantly below what would be considered lethal. It's about 10 times what someone working with X-ray machines might receive. They traversed them quickly, and they had adequate shielding. It's not like they stopped for a picnic in the middle of the belts, they zipped through them faster than I zip through a bag of chips. The argument here is that the lunar module's powerful engine should have left a significant blast crater or kicked up a huge amount of dust upon landing, neither of which are visibly apparent in photographs. So, did it just gently float down like a feather? This ignores the physics of lunar landing. The lunar module's descent engine was throttled down significantly during the final moments of landing. Its primary purpose was to counteract the moon's gravity, not to blast a huge hole. In the vacuum of space, rocket exhaust gases expand rapidly and widely, meaning the pressure exerted on the surface directly beneath the engine was surprisingly low, only about 1.5 psi. While some very fine dust was scattered, as seen in 16mm films of the landings, the lunar regolith beneath the surface dust is highly compact, making it impossible for the engine to blast out a deep crater. Studies of shadow lengths and footpad impression show that the engine did erode the surface by a few inches, not feet, which is consistent with the lower thrust and the nature of the lunar soil. If you've ever tried to dig a hole on a really hard-packed beach, you'll understand. It's not as easy as it looks. Beyond debunking these specific myths, there's overwhelming, independent evidence confirming the moon landing. So, the next time you hear someone whisper about a fake moon landing, remember the flag that wasn't waving, the stars that weren't visible because of physics, the radiation belts that were navigated, and the undeniable scientific evidence that sits right here on Earth, brought back by brave individuals who took a giant leap for mankind. Don't let gravity pull you down when it comes to facts. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. If you enjoyed this episode of AI Storytelling Podcast, please share it with a friend, leave us a review, and most importantly, subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the stories that shape our world.